Hello, YouTube queens. Welcome back to She Speaks Bravo. It's Emily, and today is a little bit different than most days because it's not just a typical recap. I'm talking to Sarah Hearon. She works at Us Weekly. That's right, Us Weekly. Have you ever heard of it? She was front and center at BravoCon, and she had stories to tell. So what was going to be one of my typical detailed, annoyingly detailed recaps ended up being a little bit shortened because I could not stop asking questions about BravoCon. I had no idea the drama that goes down in the press room. So it's mainly that type of tea and a general overview of episodes 19 and 20, the last two episodes of season 7 of Orange County, aka she broke the bow off of my cake and ate it. Classic. High stakes. But hey, if you're new here, make sure you're subscribed, hit that bell so you don't miss a video because I am recapping Bravo TV and true crime at least 3 times a week. And if you're already subscribed, love you. Mean it. My name is Emily, and I have been watching Bravo TV as a form of self-care for over a decade. Needless to say, I'm a complete mess. Subscribe and follow along for painfully insightful recaps about Bravo, true crime, and other great TV. Hit that bell. I heard you on I Am the Cute One, which is one of my most favoritist podcasts ever. You taught me something about IMDb facts, which is that anyone can write them in.
Anyone can write them in. I am obsessed with IMDb. I have been forever. I feel like it's not watching a movie if you're not interrupting whoever you're watching it with to read them the trivia. And I always, again, thought it was like Bible. And then I realized I could be submitting it just like Wikipedia. And I'm still going to take everything I read as fact, but just so everyone knows, I'm just spreading the word.
And I don't know why. I don't know where I thought the information was coming from. Like, I don't know where I was like a film Bible that they were getting this, but like Sarah submitted, was it Kyle Richards info? Was that what it was?
Real Housewives of the North Pole on Peacock last year. I'm a big Hallmark made for TV Christmas movie girl. It's like my release because so much pop culture is work. Not that I don't love it, but Hallmark is a safe space. Yeah. I rarely write about it. And when I do, it's just like selfishly because I want to talk to these people. It's not for the numbers. And last year for they did that Hallmark, they did a Peacock movie, Real Housewives of the North Pole with Kyle Richards, and Portia made a cameo as a Girl Scout. And I had to get it in IMDb because I was shook it wasn't there. And then I realized how easy it was. And I was like, oh no, I wonder who fact checked this. But I was right, obviously. But still, I would love, that would be a great job. The IMDb, like check the submissions. Oh,
the fact checker.
Yeah.
So where I found you first was your BravoCon coverage. It was superb. I became your publicist for the BravoCon coverage.
I appreciated that.
I was literally like, I don't know what the hell we've been doing, but we all need to follow this woman. What the hell? Okay, so as a content creator myself in my own right, I have the easy job because like it's just posting on Instagram, but you have to like ask these people questions in person.
Yeah.
And I feel like you actually do you have to do a lot of like forced questions, or do you get to come up with most of it on your own?
That's a good question. I think it's a mix. It sort of depends. For BravoCon specifically, I was lucky enough, it's a war to get in that place. It was a journey. We obviously, Us Weekly does a lot of work with Bravo. But at the same time, it was like a very limited number of spaces. So we kind of had to fight for our spots. But once we got it secured, I was kind of in charge of making Us Weekly's plan. Cool. So I had a reporter whose job was just to go to panels and to write out everything she could and text me if anything big happened. And then we have an on-camera correspondent named Christina, who if you watch Us Weekly's YouTube videos and stuff, you'd recognize her face. And she was at the top of the press room line. And she kind of was like on biggest news duty. So you get some of these people, they gave us 2 questions. Some they, all of a sudden you're spending 7 minutes and you don't know why no oone's pulled them because it's a chaotic experience. So you kind of have to have a million things prepared. But sometimes you literally get 30 seconds and then their publicist is bringing this next one, or Bravo. It's a crazy experience. So I had Christina at the top of the carpet, Eliza in the BravoCon room, and then I was the roamer. So I spent most of the first 2 days, because there was no press room the last day for our traditional press, at least, at the bottom of the carpet, kind of getting to do more fun stuff. So it was exciting because I kind of Christina asked the hard-hitting questions, the ones every outlet was asking, but we needed our version of the answer. You know what I mean? Like, how many times are we going to ask Erica Jane the same thing? But like, you don't want to pick up your competitors. So you need that. And then I got to do those bigger roundups, whereas why I asked every single Bravo person some of the same questions. So I could put together, like, we asked 56 Bravo celebrities this, or we asked 38 Real Housewives this. And that was my priority. And then getting social content for us to then send it back to our social editor. So that's why I was running around, like, taking videos and I luckily was in the panels that I feel like had the most drama just by chance.
Like, I loved when you asked everyone, or you asked who was the worst and best casting. That was a good one.
Thank you.
Good one. Because, you could either like not answer it or answer it. Like, you could decide to be shady or not. Because sometimes you put, like, sometimes when people go on like Watch What Happens Live, they make them play the shadiest fucking questions and the shadiest games. I'm like, you're making them have to be shady. But I was like, this was smart,
And some of them were smarter than others. I mean, you had Paige and Sierra from Summer House, for example, immediately turned into a joke. And some of the Summer House Vanderpump kids, they're the easiest to interview. I've interviewed them a bunch of times. They actually do usually remember. They're pretty much, and they're still, I think, kind of in awe of like, this is life, like, what the hell, and a little humble, and also just like down to clown. I feel like Andy Cohen feels the same way. Like, he's not dealing with, they usually just answer the question and they were expecting it. Housewives have egos. Some of them are harder than others. Some of them had their husbands next to them. Some of them had publicists hovering over them. Some of them hadn't been on the show in years and were ready to stir the pot. So I think as an interviewer, the thing I've always tried to do is read the room. And I allow them, and I'm not afraid to ask the question, but I also think I'm decent at giving them the escape or letting them kind of, float around. When to step in is important, when not to. But I was just recording all that on my phone because it was sort of just like Us Weekly bonus content. Because like I said, we had Christina top of the carpet and we had planned all those questions. So I got really lucky that I got to have fun at BravoCon. It was still work and it was long, but it was really fun. And it was the key, I think, to kind of having, planning it out in advance, but it was crazy. But I appreciate you. Thank you for sharing my content. I had so much fun and I was like addicted to posting. I feel like I was being crazy.
No, I loved it. It was because I noticed at first, I was like, this bitch is so close. What the fuck? Oh my God. Now I know what's happening here. So I was like, go to her page immediately. This is the number one.
The press gets good treatment at BravoCon. I got to give it to them. And I know there was people that were a little bitter, but like, listen, we deserve it. I feel like I work for Bravo half the time with the amount of coverage I give them for like shows that, I mean, it's whatever the Us Weekly audience wants, but it's definitely a game.
The press deserves it. Are you kidding? You have to cover it. No, the press deserves to be front and center. Do you have, I know this is kind of like an obnoxious question, but what was your craziest experience? Does anything stick out, or maybe like a top 5? I'm horrible at my memory's bad. So whenever anyone asks me this, I'm like, I don't know. I smoke weed.
About BravoCon specifically?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City panel was crazy. I know that was happened to be like right front and I got a really good seat for that one. So watching them fight in real time was like pretty mind blowing, just because you could see like Karamo from Queer Eye, who was the moderator's like heads turning, because if you don't know, they give the moderator like questions in advance, and Bravo is pretty strict with what they want talked about and what not talked about. And I think they're trying to save it for, this is a show that just started airing. So they're going to have to talk about quote unquote in New York or in this, like they say on these shows, because so much happened. But that was a crazy one.
In New York and in LA.
When we were in New York, you called me this, and then the footage. I know they were taping them all, so they'll have the footage. I expect a lot of Salt Lake City BravoCon receipts at that reunion because things got very heated. And I find it fascinating to watch the moderators, because I know what it's like to be like the journalist in the room who's trying to stir the pot, and then they have to navigate the audience Q&A, but they have Bravo like who gave them questions already and like want them to change the subject and ask these dumb games. But the Salt Lake City ladies didn't care. They just came out swinging. So that was like electric. That like gave me life after a long day, after I was like, I don't know if I can do this for 2 more days. And then
was that day one?
That was day one.
Wow.
I'm pretty sure that was Friday night. Cause then I ran to Watch What Happens Live and it was where everyone. And again, I stumbled in there and was like the first seat. And I kept thinking I was going to get kicked out because I was like, and I was right next to all the NBC executives. I was like, I don't know if this is where I'm supposed to be, but I just went with it. No one questioned me. And that was just nuts because it was like watching everything with intermission, like that taping. I think they aired 45 minutes. It lasted almost 2 hours because they kept having audio issues and they had all 140 Bravo celebrities on stage and they all were running late. Andy was trying to improv, it was nuts that taping. And I was watching Shep and Taylor, kind of fighting, and Craig immediately leave to go sit with the Southern Charm, to go sit with the Summer House people, to be with Paige, and Lisa Rinna and Kathy Hilton, just pretending they weren't sitting 2 feet next to each other. That was crazy watching the dynamics on stage. Brandy Glanville's face when Sheena did a split. I mean, it was just I could not, I didn't know where to look. It was overload. So that was cool. But then I think the biggest headline was obviously Rinna and the booing. And she wasn't supposed to come to the BravoCon press room at all. She wasn't on the list. And then they added her. So I was kind of surprised when she showed up after that and she was going down the line. And they were kind of saying 2 questions for Lisa Rinna. And then it became 1 question for Lisa Rinna. And then this lovely reporter from USA Today who was standing next to me asked her about whether she was going to be fired. And she said it in not a harsh way, but in a whatever way. And Lisa had just answered 17 questions about being booed and being hated. It was a tough line. Wow. And she just goes, all right, no more questions for Lisa Rinna. And walks out halfway through. And I was like, this is better than me asking you something dumb because I just got to witness you in real life have a meltdown on this carpet. And then Erica Jane did the same thing. We had our names in front of us of where we worked. And she walked up to the Hulu one, or Hulu tried to talk to her. She goes, Housewife and the Hustler? Hell no. And walked to the next one. It was seeing the press room half the time, just watching how they acted to other outlets. And it's scary for me sometimes. I don't know. They're going to say Us Magazine, screw you for this or screw you for that. So it's a nerve-wracking thing, but watching it happen with it was just crazy. The press room was nuts, but the Beverly Hills ladies are always, even BravoCon, the first time that was when the Denise stuff was happening and we didn't know why, but half of them weren't doing press. Half of them weren't talking to each other. You could feel the tension every time there's the Beverly Hills girls are in the same room. It's not friendly.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Ooh, the press room. Ooh,
yeah.
The press room.
That could be its own reality show, the press room.
I was going to say, that's a good, TV show.
Yeah. I mean, we all get along for the most part. But
but the tension that comes in.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, even a fictional TV show, just creating the characters of what it's like the characters could be you guys, but then just the cast of characters that would come in. Cause I didn't even think of what that would feel like.
And it's nonstop. It started at 10:30 and the press room wrapped at 5 every day. And they just bring the talent in and out. So I don't think I'm not trying to complain. Cause I know everyone would kill to be in there and I would never give it up. But I mean, I don't think I sat down for 5 hours. And then the second you do, somebody else walks in and then you have Teddy Mellencamp at the top of the press line doing her podcast with Justin Anderson.
Ruining everything for everybody.
It's just the weirdest dynamics. And you see them interact with each other and who do they have, they had Danielle start on one end and Lindsay start on the other. You could tell they're trying to keep them apart somehow. It was very strategic, but the publicists can only do so much because there's too much happening. So I know the Bravo publicists, I know what they can control and what they can't control. And then you have some personal publicists. So it's its own game in that room.
You just spelled out. This is so much fun for me. Okay. So what you have, these are all the moving players. So you've got the Bravo publicists and then sometimes you've got the personal publicists. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes the Bravo publicists are having to communicate with the personal publicists. Sometimes maybe they're no, that's not going to fly with my client. I don't think so.
And then to stir the pot again, because Bravo hired an outside PR company to help them plan BravoCon. You had other publicists who were just trying to run the event who actually didn't care or know who any of these people were. They were just trying to move them down the line and ask me, oh, do you want this person? Not even whether I had said I wanted them first, but now I want them because they're stirring the pot. So it was this. There's 3 different sets of publicists, plus all the talent, plus all the journalists who like know each other, and we all get along, but we're also competing. And I just heard you ask that question, and are you gonna steal my question? Like, it really was its own vibe in there. Fun, really fun, but also stressful. And then everyone's getting on their computers, texting their teams back at the office to try to get their stuff up first. So
I'm
it's crazy.
obsessed with this. This is such a, I didn't expect it to be that many moving parts.
It's crazy.
But that's a lot of moving parts.
Then there's a whole, by the way, fan convention happening where there's thousands and thousands of people who don't even realize what's happening in this room that's like right behind them because it's kind of off to the side. They try to keep it separate. And
so like all we get when we look at clips is just this little clip.
Yeah.
And so that's all we're like dying for, just for us, for us to get that little goddamn soundbite.
Well, I was trying to take videos like who was walking in, but I will say for the most part, everyone was I'm always pleasantly surprised. I don't know if it's because, they're like, Us Magazine, they're going to write if we're like, I'm next to page 6, like if someone has a meltdown, like it's going to be news. Like that's its own thing.
Totally.
So I was pleasantly surprised. Everyone was actually very, very nice. And they usually are. I've never really had a bad interaction with a housewife, which I feel like makes for bad stories. But like, they can't really be mean to me because I'm the press and then they'll say they're mean. So I don't know how they really are, but I've only had mostly pleasant experiences with people from Bravo, both on and off camera personally.
Well, let's get into what brought us all to Bravo to begin with. OG Housewives stuff. So I'm going to be launching a Patreon. I don't know why I've been fighting a Patreon. I don't know why. I've just been fighting it. It just sounds like a lot of extra work, but what made me want to do a podcast was recapping old school Bravo anyway. And so I thought, you know what? Why don't I tease the people with a few vintage recaps anyway? So today we're going to and obviously you saw by the title, Orange County season 7, which I like season 7 because it's when Heather joins and she changes the whole dynamic. And like I had a friend, because if you've never watched Orange County and you look and see how many seasons there are, you can feel a little overwhelmed. Like, how do I ever get caught up? I'm like, start at 7. Mm-hmm. Yes, you'll be a little lost, but you can kind of figure it out. Because the goal is just to get you to Cancergate season. Exactly. That's the best season.
Which is 10, right?
10.
Because when I was watching this, I was like 7. Oh my God, Brooks is here already. But I knew because Meghan King, I knew it was 10. And I was like, oh wow, we have a lot of Brooks. It feels like it all came happening together, but I guess the Cancergate takes a while.
Every single time I realized how much Brooks we had, I'm like, this guy was just in this too long.
Thank God it was before cancel culture, because I don't think they could have aired half this now.
Right?
Like, guy faked cancer. I think Bravo would have had to like release statements at the time. We were just like mad at him, but it would still aired and it was still entertainment. I feel like if this aired a couple years later, it would have been like pulled from the network, which was
Isn't
a damn
it crazy
shame.
that Vicky survived it too? Like Vicky's alive and kicking. People still want her back on the show. Like,
it's true.
Wild. The taglines for this season, I had them memorized. Like as soon as they started, like I could do them as soon as I heard. This is Tamara. I call the shots of my life now, and I have good aim. My favorite is that by this point, Simon and they're like she can't put any of her kids in her like title card thing, so it's just Ryan.
Just Ryan.
That's all she got.
Not even Eddie yet. Just Ryan.
Not even Eddie. Vicky's. My love tank is full, and I'm driving into my future. And it is cringe. Her with places like Brooks kissing her, like on her cheek. You're like, oh no.
You know what's so
really
sad about
bad.
Vicky is, and one of the questions I asked her at BravoCon was like a moment you could regret, redo, like a moment you regret or redo. And a lot of them have been asked questions like that before, but it was a good one to ask from any show. And I know she said this to other outlets and said it before, but she brought up like divorcing Don. And she said if she could like do anything again, it would be not divorcing Don. And knowing where we're at now with like, this is how the Steve thing ended, obviously how the Brooks thing ended, like all these roads like lead back to her divorcing Don. It's like, why did she like this show? It's just so crazy because the love take is still not full to this day in 2022.
Divorcing Don?
Like dark. Most of them are like, I wish I didn't throw that glass or wear that shirt. And she's like, I'm like, divorce, that's heavy. I'm looking for like a bad fashion moment.
That's where you
like,
thought
that's
the
a life
was gonna
decision,
go.
Not a Bravo moment. That's a life choice you made. That wasn't for the program, I don't think. So dark, but yeah, this is when she thinks the love tank is full, but she has no idea what's just about to happen to her.
God, that's such a Vicky answer,
right? Like, she got so deep.
That was like when that reminds me on the Ultimate Girls Trip when she goes, "If I die, know that I died sad."
That killed me. I love that.
So Vicky. That is so Vicky. It was such a perfect Vicky line for now. That's like that. It's true. She did.
That would be her tagline if she came back now. If they gave Friends of or guest appearances, whatever she's going to be this year, that would be the tagline.
And that is what should be on her tombstone.
Yes, I died sad.
She died sad because of you, because of something you did. Like it should be a guilt trip on there.
Yes.
Alexis is horrible. I thank God every day for my life, and you would too. I'm like, that's the best they could do for Alexis.
The best was when she had the one that was like, my body is whatever, my husband's my savior. I don't remember what it was, but that was so wild.
Frightening. It was like, where are we going with this one? Like it started and you're like, it went to all these different
directions. It's like a cult.
It's
the vows.
It was the vows full on. Yes, it was Raniere all the way. Heather's perfection. I may be married to a plastic surgeon, but I'm 98% real.
Very good.
I mean, I don't think it could get any better than that. For a first-time housewife, bravo.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Then Gretchen's. Don't call me a princess. Call me the boss.
Oh, God.
That one, like, as soon as it started, I was mad. I was like, that's right, don't finish it. I think I fast-forwarded. I'm like, I can't. This is
that failed handbag line.
The failed handbag line. This isn't, I don't think it was this season's reunion. It was her final reunion season. The audience finally brought up a very important Gretchenism. She says the word something wrong. She says something. And Andy tries to get her to fix it. Andy's like, say some. She goes, some. Now say thing. And he goes, now say something. She goes, something. And he's like, do you still not see what you're doing? She goes, no, I don't. I'm like, I don't.
She's a special breed, man.
Gretchen?
Yeah.
I'm gonna need you to figure out what you're doing there.
She's got some Teresa Giudice in her with the pronunciations.
Yes. Although the way Teresa says sandwich, I fully support. Fully 100% I'm on board with that.
Nothing makes me happier than like Andy Cohen's face when he's trying to like point things out, like when Ramona would say like a saying wrong, or we're trying to teach Teresa how to say a word, Gretchen how to say a word, like his face where he's just like dumbfounded but also giddy because he knows it's gonna like go viral and be a thing. It's the best.
Yes, the pure joy. He's losing a little bit of spark. He's getting tired. He does so many because there's more shows now.
Yeah, and he doesn't care about like Vanderpump Rules. I feel like he always got invigorated for. Summer House, he doesn't want to be there. Like, he doesn't care. Southern Charm, a little bit, but like, it's not quite the same. But I feel like he had a lull, and I think he's kind of back. I think maybe COVID and not getting to do it maybe made him miss it a little bit, because I really thought for a second there he was totally over it. And I think he even like admitted he was phoning it in a bit. And now he's kind of, a couple like on one of, I don't know if it was on one of the books or in something, but on Watch What Happens Live, like he kind of felt like whatever, but something he kind of snapped out of it and realized that like this is a lucky job. But it happens. I mean, you get burnt out in anything you do.
Totally. Ryan Bailey and I just recapped Vanderpump Rules season 2 reunion.
Ooh.
Andy Cohen is alive. He's, first of all, it's filmed just in Sir.
Like,
it's in front of the bar. They're on bar stools. There's no set.
Which is so tiny. If you've ever been to Sir, you barely can move in that area. Like, how
they're
did
practically
they even do
knee to knee. There's no like distance between them at all. They're just like in a semicircle, like right next to each other. And he loves it. Like Sandoval says she was banging him in my bed with my condoms. And Andy's face is like, yes.
Oh,
yes.
So good. Good.
And Jack says just sociopathic things, and he keeps probing him for more. He's like, this is a gold mine, and you guys can't say anything to me because you're just working in a restaurant.
Yeah.
As we're housewives, he's like, God, they're so high maintenance housewives compared to like the Vanderpump Rules cast.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is the party. This is Heather got the finale party of her first season, and it's a big deal. It's like her name change party, and this fucking house, my God. So she's meeting the florist, going over the flowers, all white furniture to make it feel like a club. Everyone is going to, upon arrival, get a glass of champagne with a diamond in it, and one is real.
Epic.
You
need money on. That's the thing about Heather. And I know that's what then they tried to bring her back. I know they brought her back and it wasn't the best season last year. And I think because they banked on like she was going to bring the money, which is important. And you do need that. But I also was thinking, because it's her first season, which is so crazy to me, because I feel like they always give Shannon all this credit for being like the Orange County housewife that kind of changed things. And Shannon did bring so much, and she still does. And I like her. But Heather, I think, classed up the place in a way we didn't know we needed. And then when they lost it, that's why it felt so jarring. But then to put her on with like Emily, like I think it'll all work now that they're all going to know each other. Because what they did with these 5, even though Heather was new, the history, like it just worked. And it's hard to have a five season house, like it's a housewife with only 5 women.
Yeah.
And it's like this. I think Salt Lake City's doing it well. And the year of Roni, where there wasn't that many, like it's not bad when they have them, as long as they care enough about each other. And Heather took it seriously enough where I guess she just really jumped right in, because I bought her when she was like crying. I'm jumping ahead, but like trying to get Vicky to come back. Like she was making the show, but I also believed her relationships with these women, which doesn't happen organically a lot. And I feel like Heather, I don't know. I'm worried that her comeback is going to kind of erase some of the good stuff from the beginning, kind of like what happened with Nene, in my opinion. Like Nene was never quite there. And I feel like it almost takes away, because of all the drama that happened with like how great she was, like her legacy. And I don't know, I haven't seen the season yet, but Heather's first season back was lackluster. But watching this, I was like, oh no, she was very crucial and important.
There's a moment too, because I just had season 7 on in the background while I was working, just to kind of jog my memory about like the comings and goings. And there's a part, because when Vicky's all about Brooks, she kind of like pulls away from the group. And Heather has a line where she says, I called Vicky to invite her because I miss her. And she hasn't been hanging out with us. And I was like, that feels genuine.
Like I bought it.
And she only just met Vicky for filming, but it's like she really, like you said, she was all in. She's like, I'm here. I'm going to play the game. Not because she was like trying to be on the show, but because she genuinely wanted to like be their friend.
Yeah, and maybe she's just a better actress than we thought. I never saw that episode of Malibu Country, but she did really. I bought everything she was selling, and the way, like, I mean, Tamara ends up putting her on her wedding. I know a lot of this is for the show, but I feel like this Orange County's at its best when, you know, because they can let it go. Like Tamara's a great housewife because she brings the emotion, but she does forgive, which we know we're going to see also with like Shannon and Vicky now. Like they forgive, which is important. And you can't have a housewife that refuses to film. You can't have a housewife that does that. That's the worst. And these 5 women are very different, and there's conflict, but I did buy at the end of the day that they cared about each. I mean, maybe not so much they didn't care about Alexis, but like Vicky cared about Alexis, and Gretchen kind of cared about it. Like there was genuine feelings there for people who didn't know each other before they were on the show. And that's missing a lot of the times now.
Yeah. This cast was really good.
Yeah.
This cast, like the dynamic, like I didn't like love Alexis, but she played a good role within this group.
Yeah.
Somehow.
She aged her storyline, like quote unquote aged obviously the worst, because she's with Jim, which we know is not now. Even at the end, I got chills when it was like Alexis and Jim are opening a trampoline park.
The trampoline park killed me. I'm like,
the lawsuits to come.
The trampoline park was definitely the worst. Like that one stood out to me. I didn't even write anything else on, but I'm like, wait, hold on. The trampoline park is definitely the most ominous of all of them.
And I mean, if you would have told me Gretchen and Slade would still be together, like I would have told you crazy.
Heather's cake though, like the cake, as soon as you see it, you're like, here we go. She goes, the cake, I mean, it's beautiful. It's just, it's not what I expected. It's not great. It's like, it's so lackluster. It's like, it's not grand. It was supposed to have this big black sparkly bottom. I'm like, it definitely doesn't have it.
No, it's giving like 10-year-old's birthday. It's giving like 10-year-old birthday party for like a bougie, like a
absolutely
10-year-old that has parents with money, but still a 10-year-old.
Yeah, it is not an adult name change reveal party.
The thing about Heather also is, I mean, the amount of time she brought up in the 2 episodes, like the 2-part finale, about how big of a deal it is she's changing her name. Like, again, like she's like, this is not that big of a deal. Like, you've been married for this long. It's not a wedding. Like but I really did think she thought she was doing something so important. And that's being a little delusional is so important in a housewife.
It's the
I don't want them to have self-awareness. Like that's not why I'm here. I don't want them to be my idol. I don't want them to be like, know what's going on in the world. I want them to think that this cake is the most important thing on the planet. And that's something else I think we're missing. Like I know we don't want to put the worst people on the planet on TV. I get it. We got to have standards, but we expect too much of these people. Like, can't we just fight about a cake?
Yes. And we do.
And we do.
So basically, here we are. This is like the setup. So Vicky's proving to everyone that Brooks can afford things by showing up with a fur coat on. Tamara and Eddie are engaged, and Vicky is obviously jealous. So she's going to tell Tamara that they're moving too fast. That's where they're at there. Alexis is going to show up with Sarah. And if you forgot about Sarah, Sarah has already made her appearance once when they had some like bowling night thing. She showed up wasted, and she tried to have a confrontational conversation with Vicky. Like, she sat down, she's like, I'm going to talk to you. And Vicky was like, I don't want to. And then that put Sarah on a loop where she was like, who says that? Who talks to people like that? And they literally had to escort Sarah out after hours and hours of this. So for Alexis to bring this person was not the move. But of course, the first person to show up, thankfully, is Tamara and Eddie. But then the next person to show up is Alexis and Sarah. And Heather's confessional is Miss Uninvited Sarah in her Vegas outfit, stripper.
So good. I mean, you could tell from the limo. Again, I was trying to remember, okay, why are we mad? Oh, Terry called Alexis phony. Yes. And Jim doesn't want to come to the party, so she's bringing Sarah for her backup. And you could, from the limo over, Sarah is here to try to get a spot on this show. Yeah. She's already drunk. She's clearly, I feel like what was happening here is she wanted to be a friend, or Alexis wanted her to be a friend, or it was mutual, but then
Gretchen brought her on, right?
Right. I think, and she never got the solidified friend status though.
No.
From, at least not in the Wikipedia timeline of Housewives, which is my other Bible. I know IMDb, again, Wikipedia can be updated by randoms, but I do trust that Housewives timeline. I have to check it sometimes. There's just too much moving parts when I'm doing some stories about what years they were on. And Sarah was not an official friend, but like so many others before us, did leave a mark. And I think you can even tell with the way they're talking when Heather is like, we're done with Sarah. No more Sarah. It's like she's saying, stop trying to make her happen on this show. Like, I'm not filming with her anymore, because she's, by the way, not a cast member. Why does she have to keep showing up to things? Vicky, you can tell they're just over this girl.
Yes.
And but I mean, God bless her, because she left such a mark. And like, how drunk was she to pull something off this cake? Do you think she pulled it off the cake to kind of stir the pot, or do you think she genuinely like had an out of body experience where she just took a piece of chocolate off the cake?
I really feel like it was an out of body experience.
And then she had to defend herself so hard.
I feel like it was so pretty that she's like, what is that made out of? And then like needed to try it, and then was like, I really do. I think she's clearly like also taken some kind of pill to help with anxiety or something. I feel like that has to be involved.
I had to go on Xanax for it, Lydia.
Yeah.
She got some help from Alexis.
She totally took one of those. So now we're there. Dude, when Vicky and Brooks walk in, Brooks is casing the joint, right? He starts looking around. He's like, this is real nice. This is real.
He's like, oh, the finale parties are going to bring it. I can't wait for next year.
The welcome arrival drink, though, just this is the year we're in, is vanilla pomegranate martinis.
Because I could gag.
I'm like, vanilla? What the hell? What's the vanilla vodka? Gross. Oh. Don't even. Just stop it right now. Alexis is acting like nothing's happening, even though Gretchen and Alexis are not in a good place, everyone. Let's not forget. Because Gretchen is now with Tamara. Tamara and Gretchen are now besties. Vicky's very resentful. I'm just trying to get everyone caught up.
Friendship bracelets.
Where we are in the world.
Where we are in the world. We're back in what year is it? 2012? I don't even know when it was there.
This is around 2012. That's where we are. I really like Tamara's hair and makeup vibe in this era. It's kind of like, it's like a poof on top, and then a lot of like extension twirls underneath, and it's very kind of dark eye makeup.
When I think of Tamara,
Me
like
too.
Not now, but like when I think of whatever, and that's why again it was like season 7. I was like, oh, she's been around for a while here, but that's like vintage Tamara.
That's what I think of Tamara too. Like when I see Tamara now, I'm like, I still just see this Tamara. Like that's my quintessential Tamara vibe. So Brianna though, now. Brianna from day one did not like this Brooks character, so she shows up, and it's tension between Vicky and Ryan and Brianna. Now remember, Brianna and Ryan are married. They've already done the quick wedding thing. Vicky tries to do like an awkward photo shoot with Brianna, And like, I recognize the posing. Like, I recognize like seeing that frame picture in like someone like Vicky's house where it's like, this was us at Heather's name changing party, you know? And you're like, and Brianna's like, we were miserable. We weren't even talking then.
This dress was $20. Like, she even was like, why are we taking 17 photos? Like, I don't care.
Exactly. So we get cut to Sarah, who's eating something. She said she found something in the kitchen. She's already drunk. She's like, I found balls in the kitchen. Yeah. And Alexis is like, come to the bathroom with me, Sarah. And they go to the bathroom, and the mic picks up Alexis being like, okay, maybe slow down on the alcohol. I feel I'm trying to, when you know your friend's getting too drunk, but you don't want to threaten them and like, they're gonna get defensive. So she's like, maybe slow down the alcohol a little bit. Your eyes look a little drunk, so maybe just sip water. Yeah, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna sip water. Ooh, I love water. That's the vibe she's giving. You totally 100%. Had that friend. You don't want to piss him off. So she's like, that's the plan. So it's about to get so good. Like, they just got there. Like, they just arrived. The party hasn't even started.
Sarah
really.
Pre-gamed too hard, for sure.
For sure. Gina arrives. Gina,
totally forgot Gina and Kara were going to be there.
Me too. And I forgot that Kara and Tamara were going to have a whole moment, because Kara does this. I wouldn't even call it passive aggressive, because it's pretty aggressive that she puts on this like wetsuit,
the poncho thing,
like
you're going on Splash Mountain.
Yes. And Tamara, in her confessional, she's like, I see Kara wearing this like Splash Mountain outfit, and she's like, I know she wants to talk to me. I'm like, wow, like, okay. Like that. I didn't know that you could communicate like that with someone from across a party. Like, see this? I want to talk to you.
Right. This means war.
They go and they talk. And it was like a sweet conversation, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, it's so interesting because this is another thing I just like picked up on is they're kind of alluding to like the press. But the press has become such a bigger part of the show. And like on New York, they always had like the Post, like they always had some allegations with it. But on other franchises, I feel like they really tried for a while to keep it out. I heard you've been saying this about me. You took this side, but they didn't like flash the headlines. So this would have been a moment where they would have had Gina's interview with whoever, which she kind of said that Tamara wasn't good to Simon and whatever. Yes. But they had to dance around it. But that's what I feel like they were getting at. And now that would have been like, let's read the article right now. Like it would have, that was an interesting thing that I feel like they were doing there.
One of my friends who's been a producer on these shows says it's like on different franchises that is a thing, or different shows even. Like on New York, like you said, the Post has always been a part of it. Yeah. However, on Orange County, they don't like to talk about it. So they do. That's what we were saying earlier. It like when they say you were in New York or in LA, like on SLC, they keep saying when we were in LA rather than at the reunion.
Right. Which is,
it's like, let's just say like at the reunion.
At this point, we got it. I feel like, and it's hard because I know that all Housewives are produced by different production companies.
Yes.
Which is why they have different rules, so many different editing things. Like they're not all created equally.
Yes.
But I feel like in 2022 with reality TV, it's a balance of when to break the wall and when not to. But the way we're doing reunions now, where we're being so obvious that it's a reunion and having Andy go in and interview them at lunch, like, why are we pretending that this happened not in like on a Bravo set? Like it's silly to me because it's still, I don't know, and it's a balance for sure. Like, I don't need this to be like Teen Mom where now they like walk in like with the producer straight up just like interviewing them, but it feels cheap to like not just call it what it is.
And there's something kind of tittillating when they say at the reunion. You're like, yeah it was at the reunion. Like,
and they show us the footage anyway. Like, we know what they're talking about.
Well, because we know Bravo loves a flashback. Bravo likes to keep showing you a flashback over and over again. Even if you just saw it. They were like, remember 3 seconds ago?
If they show Austin back at the summer house one more time, I am going to blow my brains out.
We remember, okay?
Like, no one knows better. No one's watching Winter House casually, by the way. The only people watching Winter House are the people that watch everything else on the network. We know what happened when he visited the summer house, and I watched it on Southern Charm. Now I'm watching this show. Like, we know, we saw him make out with Lindsay and Sarah, and it's the same 2 clips every time. Oh my God, it's driving me nuts.
That is such a good point. Of all the shows that you don't need a flashback on,
we know who the players are in the Winter House.
Like, I am just going to watch Winter House. I'm not going to watch any other of the shows. I'm just watching Winter House. That's it.
Like, unless it's that clip of Austin yelling Madison's name after getting caught having a threesome, I don't want to see a flashback of Austin. That one I was ready to see every episode because it was just killed me. But I don't need to see any more of Austin the Summer House, and I don't need to like fake the reunion, whatever. But anyway, back to Tamara and Cara.
Such a good point. No one's watching that by itself.
No one.
With no other reference.
Imagine. That's like you stumble upon the Winter House.
So confused.
Like, who are these absolute degenerates, and why do they all know each other? And why are we in Vermont?
What are they talking about? They keep talking about the summer.
Yeah.
And what the hell?
No, it's so good.
Amazing.
How long is this vacation? Why are they like, why are we watching them? Do they have jobs? Like, who are they?
That is such a valid point. Okay, so they make up. Yay, all good, fantastic. It's a really good like cinematic shot, like over Gina's shoulder, showing Tamra and Kara talking. I just love those moments for the camera guys because like the producers are like, "Ooh, get this shot over Gina's. Ooh, I like that. Yeah, the orb fountain behind him."
Feel like cinematographers versus just people like chasing around the house.
Exactly. Yeah. Because like it's like for the crew, it's really hard because they don't get to like do setup shots and light it. So they have to do so many moving parts at once. And when they
especially,
get a moment,
I mean, this episode by the end, they're really chasing each other.
Literally so many things are happening. Okay, now the very next shot when they're done with this makeup is Sarah stomping through the hall. That's it. This is a real quick Sarah stomping. That's it. That's the shot. Then it's Heather's talking to her friend Dina, who we've seen throughout the seasons. And Heather's like, there's not going to be a ceremony like I do with the kids naming, but I'm going to do a toast with the cake. And Heather goes, did you like the cake? And Dina goes, okay, look, I don't want to start any trouble. I don't really know anybody but the girl with the red dress who's dating a 60-year-old. And Heather goes, Sarah. Dina goes, I don't know. She took the bow off your cake and ate it.
Oh my God.
Heather immediately, she broke my cake. That is the rudest thing. She just broke it off and ate it. I'll make sure there's food around. I'll go ask her if she's hungry. Immediately, I'm like, this is the best episode I've ever seen in my entire life.
It's so good. And then Sarah's immediate, I have a sugar problem.
That was perfect. Like, she went to a place of medical problems. I have a medical emergency. I have a thing. She didn't go there right away, though. She went there when she realized it was serious. Like, right. Which is good. You want to go there after you first started with, are you seriously mad? Like, you want to start with that. But so Heather goes and gets Tamra and Vicky, and she goes, I'm sorry, but Sarah broke the bow.
Well, she goes, you know that girl, Sarah? Like, they're really trying to deny that she's even, like, in their world. And maybe she's not, but, like, they're not. They're acting like, I mean, and second-class citizen, not even friend of that girl, Sarah. Like, remember her? She's still here, and she ate my cake.
She ate my cake. But then Heather's like, I don't want to make a big deal out of it. But Tamra goes and grabs Sarah and brings her over to the cake and points at it and goes, did you eat the bow? And Sarah goes, I did eat the bow.
I did. I'm guilty of eating the bow.
Tamra goes, why? Sarah goes, because I wanted to. I don't fucking care.
Yeah.
And then Vicky's like, but they didn't serve it yet. Are you seriously upset because I ate the bow? And then we go into Terry tries to like explain, well, you know, the significance of the bow and the cake is that she changed. I'm like, Terry, I like that you're trying to like make it make sense to Sarah. It's not good.
Nothing's making sense to Sarah. She has more than a sugar problem.
Yeah. But then this is when she's like, okay, I'm going to switch it. I have a sugar problem. I need sugar. When Heather hands her an Oreo.
Beautiful.
I mean, it was so well done, too. She like kind of flipped her wrist around and said, here you go. Here's an Oreo. Alexis, though, has to go with the angle of, are we seriously mad about the cake? I'm like, no, don't go that route, Alexis. You're already not, it's not going to go well. Now Sarah's going, you're stupid. Get over it. Now it's on the hamster wheel. And then Heather, I am bored with this. You go get yourself together or you may leave.
I mean, it's perfect because the stakes are incredibly low to everyone in the world besides Heather and the other people in the room. And that's what we need. We need petty and we need like a couple scenes about it. If they were still talking about the cake now, we wouldn't like it, but it aired just enough of it. It's when they don't harp on it too long. They already didn't like Sarah, so they were just looking for an excuse. And the bow was better than Sarah, like hitting on Terry. Like that would have sucked. But it was innocent. It was stupid. She was drunk. It was just like the perfect storm of shit show. And I don't get those moments enough anymore. I feel like everything is too like produced. But no one told Sarah to take that ball off that cake. That was that girl. That was that bitch's decision.
No. She was off unattended and like did that on her own.
Yeah.
When Heather described, someone's like, who did it? A hideous, non-invited guest.
Like, again, she's not on the program. She is not a housewife. She's not a friend. She's uninvited to this party. And she better not like get an orange anytime soon. Is like all the under context, I feel like, of when they talk about Sarah.
Because Heather's new to this. She's like, no, I'm not associated with that. That is not the show that we're on.
Yeah.
So that ends the episode, but then we go right into the next one. And Gretchen, this is when Gretchen pulls Tamara aside for this hideous friend bracelet that has 3 heart, whatever they are on it, heart charms with a lot of significance. Just a lot of, this is because you're not going to let anyone walk all over you again. And this is going to lock up our, I don't know, fucking Tamara cries.
Yeah. They're drunk, clearly. There's more alcohol involved.
Oh yeah. Lots of bubbles. Bubbles will do that. But
even you, Tamara at one point goes, I'm eating tonight, meaning like she drank too much because she doesn't usually probably eat on camera or at parties. But with the bracelet, I mean, it's very hideous. And I know it's 2012, but it's even ugly for 2012. Like this looks like a 2004 kind of bracelet we'd be rocking. Like it is. And Orange County, they're not known for the fashion over there.
Yeah.
But it's uglier than I remembered.
And Gretchen even warns her. She's like, I know it doesn't look great when you first see it, but I'll walk you through it. So she's never going to wear it.
No.
Come on. But the next shot is Sarah stepping over like the velvet rope that's blocking people from going into the kitchen, clearly for a reason. And as she's doing it, she's for Terry and Heather to get upset over a cake. The next shot is her in Heather's face in the kitchen over a cake. Like, okay. And so Heather's like, I am not going to have my party ruined over this. You are being rude and disrespectful. And so she literally summons in Alexis. She's like, Alexis, Terry, Tamara, Gretchen, I need everyone in here. And she literally tells Alexis, like, I need you to get Sarah out of my house. I need her out of my house. And then as she does that, Sarah goes over to her other friend and she's like, why are they doing this?
Sarah forgot that she broke the cake and she's like, it's all connecting for her. She's like, oh no, like I'm actually not going to be on this show. This is going to air on TV and I'm going to look horrible and I'm going to have to disappear. Like, I think
you're right. I think she did forget she broke the bowl.
Yeah, I think. And also I feel like sometimes you have these moments with reality stars. This happens more like on The Bachelor, which I cover a lot. Like you can tell their wheels are spinning because they like snap out of it and they're like, oh no, this is going to air. Like this is like they're so invested. They're so in the moment. And then every once in a while they have a moment where they're like, oh, fuck. This is not like I'm going to lose this argument. I'm going to look nuts and things are going to whatever. And I feel like Sarah almost had a come to Jesus moment where she was like, oh, I should not have gotten out of the limo and let alone touch the bow. Like this is not going to go well for me.
Have you watched Amy Schumer's like reboot of her show?
No,
because she has a great sketch where, the sketch is she was on The Bachelor and she was like one of the contestants and she has to go back in and record some audio pickups.
Oh my God.
And so she goes in the booth and they're like, okay, so all you have to do is read the dialogue that's in front of you and try to match it to your voice. And she's looking at the audio and she's like, wait, did I really say this? Is there any way we can edit it out? They're like, no, we are picture locked. You got to match it. And it's like her wasted being like, fuck that bitch. I hope she gets COVID, the long kind.
Oh my God.
And like saying all this stuff that like she regrets saying when they were filmed. So it's very similar to what you are saying where you're like,
right.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that totally happens. Alexis, though, when she comes in the kitchen, she's like, I'm going to pretend like I don't understand why you called me into this kitchen. And clearly she had said, like, get your friend out of here. But Alexis is like, I don't understand what's going on. And so literally Heather's like, because I want you to get her to leave my house. And Alexis is still like, okay, but what's happening exactly? And Slade's like, all that matters right now is that Terry and she's like, okay. And she puts her hand in front of Slade's face. Like, I'm trying to talk to Heather right now. Heather's not being very clear with me what she wants. And Heather's like, I want her to leave. I'm still not getting what the problem is here. I'm still not following. But then Gretchen gets mad. She's like, don't put your hand in Slade's face. And so finally, Alexis gets it and she goes, well, I'm not her bodyguard. You bitch, you brought her though.
You did.
But she doesn't even end up leaving with her. But anyway.
I know. I feel like they probably just like put her in a car with production and like, this girl's been a fail, but they needed Alexis there because there was so much unresolved with, and then they put Sarah in a car and they pulled Jim out of one.
They were like, we know Jim's coming, so Alexis has to stay. Like, we already know he's like getting mic'd up as we speak.
Right. That definitely is what happened.
Yeah. But this is great. Heather goes, the bottom line is it is time for the Sarah chapter to close.
Yeah.
It's time for you to say goodbye. I'm like, she made that up on the spot. That was a great
She's
line.
producing in real time, but in a way that's just enough, because you don't want your housewives to be too much like trying to control the narrative, but also this girl really was not necessary and she did just enough. And she was right. Like, Sarah served her purpose and it's time for Sarah to go. We got the footage of the cake.
Her last line is, over a piece of cake? Is this the world we live in?
Like, yes, Sarah, it is.
Yeah,
and on Bravo, this was you committed a crime.
Yes, a crime that we will never let you live.
We have housewives committing real crimes, but your crime, Sarah, was touching that cake.
Yes, eating it. Okay.
Yes.
What did it taste like, though? We never got an answer to that. Was it
tried
chocolate?
to like find out where Sarah is now. She seemed to pull an Alison Dubois and just kind of wipe herself from the internet because she's traumatized by the experience. I couldn't get many updates on where is Sarah now.
Wow. Okay, I don't blame her. Actually, that kind of tracks.
Yeah.
All right. So now that that's over, we switch gears to go to like the Brooks is not a good guy. Everyone's a little nervous about Brooks. He's shady because Vicky tries to like talk to Ryan and be like, how like I don't know anything about you, and he's like, well, you can ask me. And she's like, but I wouldn't. So tell Brianna she can't ask anything about Brooks. And he's like, that doesn't make sense. She's like, okay, I got it. Like, this is the Vicky vibe, Brooks vibe, right? Then we get Jim surprising Alexis and eventually the Terry-Jim conversation. I can't believe I'm going to say this, but when Tamra goes over to like sit in, first of all, Heather going over, I'm like, this isn't going to go well. This isn't going to go well. And then when Tamra joins, I was actually like, well, of course Jim's going to leave.
Yeah. Jim is a tough person to root for.
Yeah.
For 1,000 reasons.
For 1,000 reasons.
But he probably walked into that with a guarantee, we're going to put you with Terry, whatever. So I don't blame him he's not the big character on the show. The women should not get to say who they want to film with, what they want to do. The men are tricky. And in certain franchises, especially, and they pick and choose like what year the guys are kind of more involved and whatever. Yeah. But I do think it's fair for him to not necessarily want Tamra, who's tough to deal with.
Yeah.
In his ear,
wasted
chirping,
at this point.
Who's wasted and hates Alexis.
Yes.
Hates Alexis, is not going to whatever. So I don't blame Jim for getting up and walking away either. He probably would have said something he was going to regret because Tamra would have probably riled him up. So actually, for one time only, probably good call, Jim.
Yes. Because as he gets up and she goes, what's wrong, Bellino? He doesn't want to hear the truth. Like, well, I feel like he made the right call.
Yeah, 100%.
And Alexis has to literally run after the car.
I mean, if that was not a sign of what was to come in their marriage, then her having to, and then her thanking him for stopping. Thank you, baby.
I know.
After he had no intention of stopping, she chased him down. He left without saying goodbye. She didn't even know he left.
I was actually surprised she caught up with him.
Me too.
It looked like he was gone. He was like, granted, he figured she would figure it out, but still.
No, it was that. I mean, they again didn't age well, but they never were, I guess, like anything to root for.
I don't even really know what Terry and Jim could have resolved because that was just Terry's opinion on Alexis. And like, what were they going to do? Like, be like, she's not phony. It's like, okay.
Yeah, I know. It's like, I didn't call her the phoniest person. I don't think I did that. Did I say she was phony? Yes. It was like Terry was Terry again. And Heather always said, I feel like Terry was the one who wanted to be on the show. And you could see it in that moment because he was speaking housewife. No. I did not say she was the phoniest person I ever met. Did I say she was phony? Well, yes. And it's like, okay, well, like that's not the same thing, but also the same thing.
Yes. So it was like, this wasn't even going to resolve itself. Even if they did go to lunch, it's like, well, so I said it and bye. So
it's a very fine line of when the men should be involved. I mean, Terry did say it, so I guess that's why the issue is with him. But it's a very fine line for when the guy should be involved and when they're going to defend their wife, but also like, do we need it?
Do we need it? Exactly. Okay. Now all of them are gathered around the big white table. Heather makes some joke like, oh, I'm so happy Sarah and Alexis are gone. And Terry's like, hey, those are your friends, Slade. What's your malfunction? And Slade's like, we're very insecure people. Makes some joke. Yeah. Then Vicky makes some like manic toast. She's like, where's Alexis? Where's Alexis? I miss Alexis. It was bizarre.
Yeah.
To which Tamra rolls her eyes, which she did 100%. Yes. Eyes were rolled. Brooks goes, really? Tamra says, oh, really? Brooks like, you want to go there? Which is, all of this is super bizarre. And then Tamra, drunk as fuck, she's like, absolutely. She was just hoping for this. Like, he probably felt it from her. He probably knew she wanted to fuck with him. He was like, let's go. Let's do it. And then he goes, what are we talking about? Like, yeah. Let's do it. So now it's on. And Vicky's like, what's happening? Acting like she doesn't know what's going on. And now we get the evil eye. Well, why'd you give her the evil eye? And she's like, what? No, nothing's going on. Nothing's happening. Why'd you do that? This whole back and forth. But then I didn't realize Gretchen riled it up a little bit more because Vicky tries to say, I don't want to fight about this now. And then Gretchen goes, but this has been brewing between you guys. I was like, oh shit, she wanted this too. Okay, stoke that fire a little bit. Vicky goes, nothing has been brewing between us. We're best friends. Got it. Okay. Tamra brings it back. She goes, I don't like what you're doing over here with this evil eye thing, Brooks. And then Brooks starts whispering to Vicky because the conversation starts like kind of picking up. He goes, she did give you the evil eye. She did. And I have your back. I have your back. And then Tamra, what is your fucking problem? And you just whispered in her ear that I gave her the evil eye. What is your problem? And then Vicky says, Eddie, get control of Tamra, which I like how Eddie just kind of gestures like he pretends to motion with his hand like he's going to do something. He's like, oh, okay. Like he's not really going to do anything. Tamra standing up across, what an iconic visual, like standing up across the table with her finger pointing. And Brooks does look kind of scared. I'm not going to lie. Brooks actually looks a little freaked out. Yeah. She's like, I don't have him take control of me. Relax, Vicky. Stop letting him tell you what to think. And then Vicky's voice goes to an octave and a tone that is, I feel like it only goes here in certain instances. And I kind of feel like we only really heard this when Brooks came onto the scene.
For sure.
I kind of feel like we never heard it until this.
She was a different animal when it came to protecting Brooks. That was just so, and we can only imagine, like, gross to say, but like just because of the love tank and the bedroom, like in what world is she defending this man? So like it brings something out of her. And that's the only thing we can get her. Like it doesn't make any sense.
Right? Because like this was like a growl. It was bizarre. It was crazy. But so like, she's like, who is this person? Bring Tamra back. And she walks off. But Tamra's like so heated. And then she goes to Terry. Did I give her the evil eye? And Terry, he's like, no. He's so invested. He's like, so invested. Yeah, forget it. No, you didn't. Like, but then Tamra goes to like follow them. And obviously Eddie he's like, no, don't. But Gretchen goes, yeah, go get her.
Yeah.
Okay. This is where you know Tamra's wasted. She walks over. She's like, why are you leaving? As if like nothing just happened.
She's like, well, we could talk this through. And it's like, what planet are you living on, Tammy Sue? You literally are like threatening violence against Brooks. Not that he doesn't deserve it, but like you're trying to hit him basically.
Yeah, like I would let him go. And then this is the famous, you're supposed to be my friend, my soulmate, my sister.
I didn't remember that was this. I never, obviously who could forget that screech. It's I've never had multiple partners in my life. The Vicky like screech, but for some reason, I remember them being in like 80s clothes or something. I guess that's a different fight, but I didn't remember it was at the Heather Bow party that it was the friend, soulmate, sister.
So much. Oh. This episode is just full of so much
history.
Full of history. And so then, they leave, obviously. But then we get this great scene with Tamra and Brianna that's so like chilling, knowing what we know.
Yeah.
Because Brianna goes, he has no car, no job, no house. Who is this guy? Oh, who is this guy indeed?
We give all the credit to Meghan King, but Brianna should get a lot of credit for the Brooks identification of something sketchy, because she really was on the note for right on it. And I think watching this also this might not be 100% accurate, but I feel like losing Brianna to Oklahoma is when Vicky started to go downhill, because having Brianna be there and be the sounding board, even when we see her kind of convince her to come back inside and I'm your daughter, I do have your best interest at heart, it humanized Vicky and it brought Vicky down to earth, to the point where like those last couple seasons when she was really losing it, I don't think we had, her center wasn't there. And I think Brianna brought out a side of Vicky we needed that made her more human. And also Brianna was right like 9 out of 10, 99% of the time with all the comments she was making. And I think her being able to communicate with Tamara so well gave those two a chance. Like I think not having Brianna to kind of be her sounding board, but also hold her accountable is where Vicky went off the rail. So I think Brianna was so important to her storyline.
I have to agree, because you even see like, this is nuts. Like if you didn't have Brianna to come in and do like when they're outside, Vicky sends Ryan, go get Tamara, go get Brianna away from Tamara right now. Yeah. I don't need any more corruption in her mind, like as if that's what it was. Right. And then when Brianna, well, also it was kind of creepy when Heather comes out and Brooks is like, don't, this is family. Don't. I'm like, well, who the fuck are you? Get out of here. But she's
like, I'm having something really special happening. Again, it's like
Heather delusion.
This name ceremony is so important. This toast. And it's just beautifully done, because she really does think she's doing something so important here that she needs Vicky to be there. It's like when Shannon, fast forward a couple seasons later, when it's the Aries party, and she needs all the Aries in the room. I'm like, these women are so delusional that they think this is that important. And like, these people should be leaving. Like, get them home. Like, everyone is hammered.
Like, why do you want them to come back inside? And then when you see what it is, I'm like, this was so not an event. Right. It was not an event.
I guess maybe it was producers being like, we need Vicky for the goodbye toast, but like, do we even need it? Like, we're on season 7 of this show now. Like, people storming out is nothing out of the ordinary. Like, if she's not in the finale shot, her finale shot is storming off. Alexis wasn't there.
Yeah, do like the funny, like Vicky and Brooks are still together as they're like driving off in their car.
No, it genuinely felt like Heather just really wanted everyone there for her name ceremony.
She's like, just try for 2 minutes because I planned this special thing. It's just an important moment for me.
Right. Like, do you want to be my friend? Do you want to miss this important moment in my life? It's like my kid being born. Like, she's comparing it to like, she's going to be mad if she's going to have problems with Heather if she misses this important moment.
And by the way, she's been going by Heather Dubrow this whole time.
Right. Heather Page Kent to who? Like, we didn't know that girl. We don't know that girl.
I'm like, what was your other last name? I have never known you as that person. So thank you. But so when Brianna does come out, to your point though, she's not swayed by like what Brooks is trying to do. So she like grounds, she scares Vicky with it, because first it's hilarious getting like Vicky's side of the story. Like, this is her daughter. And she's like, I gave a toast to Alexis, and then Tamara rolled her eyes. And Brianna's like, did she really roll her eyes? And she's like, she did. She rolled her eyes. You saw it? I did. I saw it. Like, this is like, how petty this argument
like mother,
is.
Daughter roles there.
And then she's like, well, Tamara said she didn't roll her eyes. Well, she did. Well, it's like not really that big a deal. You think maybe Brooks kind of made it a bigger deal?
Right.
Yeah, she did. And then but then what gets her is that Brianna's not going to go over to like be with Brooks. She just kind of is like, she's like, well, fine, go ostracize yourselves, alienate yourselves, and don't listen to your daughter, listen to your boyfriend. So she starts walking in, and it scares Vicky and it scares Brooks. Brooks is like, no, we're not going to alienate ourselves, are we, Vicky? We're going to go inside. And it makes him realize, like, fuck, she's onto my game.
Right. And again, it's going to air on TV. And I'm doing what she said I was doing. So I got to backtrack, and we got to get back inside. And he had that moment of that word alienate is now what he's going to hear about for the next however amount of time. So he's going to prove he's not. So Brooks wasn't, I mean, he's an idiot, but he's not, he's playing the game beautifully in a gross way, but like beautifully.
Yeah. So you're right. I think that when she left, it did, because she did lose her marbles completely at a certain point. And I think that did affect her. And then they go back inside for the tiniest, first of all, the cake being front and center for this moment it's such a pathetic little cake.
It's such an ugly cake.
And they try to like not show the bow. Like they keep trying to zoom in on just the HD because they're like, don't show the bow.
Right.
And it's like literally her being like, I say friends are like precious metals.
Yeah.
And
no, she quoted the Girl Scout law, which as
Yes!
a former Girl Scout, make new friends but keep the old, one is silver and the other is gold, is a lovely sentiment. But like, you're way too old to be pulling out the Girl Scouts. Like, on my honor, I will try to serve God and my country to help others at all times and live by the Girl Scout law. I still know it too, but I don't quote it in everyday life.
as the finale toast that you made Vicky come back in for. But then Vicky, she joins in. She goes, all right, sorry for leaving, but that's what I do when I get confronted. The bottom line is I've never been happier. I love Brooks. He's my man. You're either in or you're out.
That was crazy the way she just threw that in there. Like I thought we were putting that to bed for now, but like, no. All right. She wanted to make sure the season ended in her version on a high note, I think is what that was. But it was beautifully executed and great reenactment right there. Like the way she just spewed it out. It is what it is. And Tamara's face is like, she's rolling her eyes, but she does the cheers. Like everyone is done at this point.
Yeah. And then production's like, well, we did it. We got it. We did it.
We got an epic 2-part finale.
They were like
at a party at Heather's with a bow.
And Heather's like, and they're like, Heather, you are getting your contract renewed. Trust me.
You will be center orange.
Yes, trust on that. And what a journey. Thank you that you were such a good sport. That was so fun. Oh my God,
it was so fun to be in 2012. I really did enjoy old Orange County. When Orange County is good, it's good. It is not good that much.
Yes, I know. Because I think it's because Orange County itself, like the county is just different now.
Fair.
It's a little dark.
Yeah.
It's not the same. You know what I mean? I just think that maybe that is the problem. Because
what do you think is gonna be? What are your expectations or hopes, or do you have any for the upcoming season with Tamara back? Because I actually think watching them interact at BravoCon, there's definitely layers here. The Taylor Armstrong of it all. Heather so desperately kind of wanting to be a success coming back, but Tamara clearly being the glue. Like I think it has the foundation to be good again.
Okay, so my fake truth is I'm like, I have, we'll see. But my real truth is I have high hopes.
Yeah, me too.
I just don't want to get disappointed because that happens. But I have when Tamara announced when they finally said she was coming back, I was like, guys, I'm sorry, this is perfect because she was feuding with everybody going in, and Tamara's so tough that she can handle a feud and a forgiveness and a move on so quickly. So she'll go in, she'll feud with Shannon, she'll resolve it, and she'll move on. She'll go in, she'll be feuding. She was feuding with Gina, she was feuding with Emily, she was kind of in a weird space with Heather, and she's so good at forgiving and moving on that I'm like, there's gonna be so much action. Yeah. So I have high hopes, but on the surface, I'm saying we'll see.
I agree. I feel the exact same way.
In my core, I'm like, I think it's going to be good.
I really hope so. I mean, she was great on the Girls Trip is different, but she's just good TV. Tamara is meant to be on TV. She plays the game well. She takes it just seriously enough, but she also knows, she's not afraid to be insane on camera. I mean, watching some of these meltdowns, it's like Eddie was like, I want to marry this person. Like, it's crazy.
I wondered the same thing.
And like, I know he doesn't like the show. But he's like, all right, it makes you happy. But so she must be able to put it to bed at home to move on screen, but also to make that relationship work. So I have really high hopes, but I'm nervous as well that we're just going to fall for it again.
Right? I know. Cause I fell for it with Heather's comeback. I just didn't think it through enough. Yeah. That's what it was. I didn't map out the rest of the casting enough.
Yeah.
And they had too many new people in addition. I just didn't. But now I feel like this gets it right.
But I think one of the things Orange County, because there's so much history there, there's so much to pull from to bring people back. And I think the new people have just been the fails that I think we got. Like I would watch Alexis Bellino on my TV in 2022. I would see,
especially
check in
with her trans kid,
right? She seems to be in a much better headspace as a human, as a mother, as a mom. She's got a boyfriend who she's been with forever. Yeah, like but there's still history there. Yeah. Whereas like those randoms, and they're only giving them one season, which I get it because we don't want them. But if you don't give anyone more than one season, we're never going to have history, and we have to buy that they care about each other. Like it's moving too quickly, but also then there's too many in between seasons. So it's tough. So I think bringing from the past is the move.
Yep.
It's just not Lydia. I don't know why they kept picking her.
Swear to God. If someone did a fake tweet that circulated for 24 hours that she was coming back, and I had PTSD. I was like, don't, I swear to God, don't even fucking do that to me. Do you want to tell the people where to follow you on Instagram?
Sure. I'm at Sarah Hearon, Hearon. I cover The Bachelor a lot, so not to be confused with the Sarah Hearon from The Bachelor, who was actually on the show. Like that time Chris Harrison DM'd me, invited me to a party thinking he was inviting that Sarah Hearon.
Shut up. Did you go?
Not me. He was in LA, but I was like, hi, I don't think I am who you think I am, but I do work at Us Weekly. And then it was great because my DMs with Chris Harrison were open until he got fired. So that was nice at the time. But yeah, follow me on Instagram and readusmagazine.com. Do all the things if you want to hear more of this.
If you want to hear more of this, yes. Yeah. Thank you so much. This was so much fun.
Thank you. I had a great time.
All right, guys. Bye.
Bye.